We are back with another episode of Franchise My Business. Guys, I am super excited to introduce today's guest. If you talk about somebody who dedicates their life to the franchise business model, and you could draw a picture of him, he would look like my guest today, Dr. Ben Litalien. He is the founder and principal of FranchiseWell, a world-renowned franchise expert, educator, and speaker with an expertise as a franchisor, a franchisee, and a supplier to the franchise industry. Holy smokes. And we didn't even talk about how he empowers others through his educational components at Georgetown University, teaching franchising. This is going to be a phenomenal conversation. Welcome to the show, Dr. Ben.
My pleasure, Kevin. Great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. It's great to have you. And I noticed you didn't put that in your in your onboarding form about how you're also educating others through the curriculum that you're teaching at Georgetown University. So I want to make sure we circle back on that. Yeah. But before we dive into that, let's talk about Dr. Ben. Like, how long have you been in the franchise space?
Well, I took over a failed franchise concept in 1987. That's before maybe many of you were born, who knows? But 1987, I'd come out of college, was working in management in Houston, Texas. And a gentleman that I knew approached me, and I was into, and still am, muscle cars, classic cars, restoring them, buying them, selling them, etc. And he said, "Hey, I got this buddy that's got this franchise in the car industry, in the automotive industry, and something's gone terribly wrong. It's a big mess. And he's a big time attorney who put up the money, and then everybody left him with, the debt and the lease and, a bunch of unhappy franchisees." And I was like, I don't know anything about franchising, but, what's the business? So he told me it was automotive paint touch up. You get your brand new Porsche and then you got a rock chip on the hood, and that's the only thing you see every time you walk out to the car, right? We can make that disappear for like $50. And so this guy had created this concept. It sold, I think, 12 or 13 franchises, and they were all running well, making money. And this guy had brought in his 3 brothers to help him with the business. If you can't find qualified help, bring in your family, right? That's what
bring in your family and see if it either causes it to blow up in terms of revenue or just literally blow up, right?
Well, as it turns out, they did not understand or like franchising. They didn't like franchisees calling up, asking questions, making demands. You promised to give us these supplies. Well, sorry, So they decided they would the 4 of them would load up with all their supplies and go to 4 different parts of the country and then just go make money doing the business, not being a franchisor. Problem is they left the attorney with a $250,000 note at the bank, a lease on a 5,000 square foot facility, and a bunch of unhappy franchisees who decided, why are we paying royalty? We're not getting any service. So that was my introduction to franchising. Yeah.
Real hairy and messy, right?
It was very hairy and messy. And I was 28, I guess, and just brash enough to think I could fix this. And so I called the franchisee who was the peer leader of the group and said, "Man, what do you need?" And he gave me a list. And I thought it was going to be some kind of difficult list, Mission Impossible. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it was all like dripping faucet stuff. It was really but it was what was committed to. They just weren't getting it. So long story short, I said, give me 6 months. I put everything in place. Franchisees all started paying royalty again. We all became a happy family. We wake up 3.5 years later. We got franchises in 22 states, 3 Canadian provinces. And I'm like, I love franchising. This is amazing because at its core, it's a relationship business. It's really about the people you want to spend your life with, especially early stage. Franchise your business. The early stage is very different. I've been in systems with 1,000 franchises, right? Completely different. But what's really exciting, especially for entrepreneurs who use franchising as a way to grow their business model, the relationship you have with those early stage franchisees is in many cases, for the rest of your life. I mean, it's really amazing. And they're really the ones that help you perfect the model, quite frankly. And so first lesson, your early stage franchisees are the most critical. Choose the wrong ones, your chances of success go way down. Choose the right ones, your ability to scale quickly goes way up because they are your de facto advisors. They're living it every day and you have to learn fast. That's what my military boss at ExxonMobil told me. You got to learn fast. And so that's kind of how I fell into franchising. And from there, I was approached by our largest competitor at the time. There were about three of us in the space at that time. They said, I'm going to buy your company. I'm like, what are you talking about? I eat this for breakfast. I go to bed. I dream about this all night. I mean, this is my life. Right. And then he told me how much he was going to pay me for the company. And I said, I can
eat something else. I can eat Wheaties instead of this for breakfast.
So lesson number 2, the value of a franchise system is far greater than most business people or entrepreneurs understand. I mean, it is not uncommon to get an 8, 10, 12 multiple on a franchise business. And think about it. You're the franchisor. You might have one location that you're operating out of, but you got 100 franchisees and you're taking all that revenue with very low overhead. And then someday somebody's going to want to buy that network from you and they're highly valued. So I did that over a 15-year period. I did 4 different companies, built them to scale, sold them, and really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, the last one I did was a .com. And man, I almost hit it. Almost is the optimal word. And so after the .com crash, I thought, well, do I go find another concept to franchise? And that's what I was looking to do. But ExxonMobil called and said, hey, we got a problem. We've got all these Exxon dealers who don't like our mobile on the run convenience store franchise. So can you come figure out a strategy to engage them and grow this business? So I did. I moved my family from Texas to Virginia and built a regional developer model. And that resulted in 45 regional developers doing 1,000 convenience stores in 4.5 years. Almost an unparalleled amount of growth. And so, and at the end of that, as a reward, they said, well, why don't we put you in charge of a refinery in Torrance, California? And I'm like, what? That's the way big companies work. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm an entrepreneur. I enjoy doing this, but I'm going to go back to doing what I know how to do. So I started FranchiseWell 2009. And at the same time, decided I wanted to go back to school and get my doctorate, focusing on franchising. And more specifically, my dissertation was on social franchising, nonprofits engaging the franchise model in support of their mission. That's a whole nother podcast we should have sometime. But so in parallel, I launched my consulting practice and enroll in school. So 3 years, 9 months later, in my first defense, my degree's conferred, which thank God, because that was a grind, I'll tell you. But and so at the same time, I started doing consulting with UPS Store, Snap-on Tools, IKEA, Remax. I mean, a lot of brand names out there. But the most rewarding was helping entrepreneurs franchise their business, basically architecting a strategy to meet the founder's goals for their concept. So, a concept like Zero Res, which is a national carpet cleaning franchise that cleans with water through a patented process. I met the founders.
No chemicals? No chemicals, just water?
Just water.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Electrolyzed oxidative water. Yeah, EOW.
Cool.
And so to me, it looked like a bird's nest on the ground, but they weren't having a great experience. They had rolled out a franchise program and it just was a grind. It wasn't going anywhere. The franchisees weren't happy. The partners weren't happy. So I brought them my regional developer model. And that was 7 years ago. I think system-wide sales last year were 150 million, 75 developers across the country. Man, as an aside, you think about carpet cleaners, right? A man in a truck. That's one business model. But none of these RDs, regional developers, clean carpet. They run businesses. The franchisee in Atlanta does like $1.6 million a month cleaning carpets, right? He's got like 50 vans go out every day. I mean,
that's a lot of carpet getting cleaned. That's a lot of pile getting cleaned.
And today, and there was a transaction earlier this year to a private equity firm, and I can't disclose the terms or anything. But again, it goes back to what I said, lesson number 2, the value of franchise systems when you grow them. It's beyond what you think it is. So what I enjoy doing is architecting franchise strategies. Franchising looks like a simple model, but it is a highly complex and highly powerful model. When you get it right, the results can be extraordinary. It is an engine that drives a large portion of our entire U.S. economy. It's like 3% of our non-government, non-farm GDP. And yet there's only 1 million franchise businesses in the U.S. Compare that to 28 million small businesses, according to the SBA. So it's a fraction of the size of the small business industry, yet it produces 3% of our GDP. So franchising is a very powerful model. Getting it right saves you heartache, time, and effort. And that's what I've dedicated my academic support or goals to and efforts, but also all of my work effort.
I love it. I love it, man. There's a lot to unpack there, but you definitely, I recorded a solo episode earlier today, and the title of it was like, why franchising is a horrible idea. It's a little clickbaitish, but also like my number one thing is exactly what you just said. And I've ran into this before, and I think that I want to put a punctuation mark on it for anybody listening, because the example I used, I said, hey, let's say Kevin owns a cookie shop here in Kansas City. It's Kevin's Cookies. He's got a couple locations. And I'm thinking about expanding from Kansas City to St. Louis. I got really a couple plays. I can go open it myself, or I can, license or franchise that model out to somebody else. Sure. And if I choose to franchise it, I have to be ready as an entrepreneur to change my identity, to go from somebody who makes cookies in a bakery or manages people making cookies in a bakery to a mentor, a coach, somebody that these franchisees come to rely on as their board of directors, their board of advisors. You literally become their trusted advisor. And if that's not in your DNA, like if you don't want to support people or you don't want to establish a support structure, then it's a terrible idea for you to continue going down that path. Would you agree?
Yes, it is one of my favorite words, metanoia, which is shift of mind. So it's a powerful word. And
it's also a Linkin Park album, I believe. And now that I know what it means, I'm like, oh, that's what metanoia means. I think it is. See? I think it's a Linkin Park album, but keep going.
I'm all about educating people. So
yes, sir.
The point being is that you're not in the carpet cleaning business. You're in the franchise business. And this is one of the biggest hurdles that entrepreneurs have when they embrace it. I literally had this conversation yesterday with an entrepreneur talking about franchising their business. And everything they kept saying was based in their old world. Metanoia is, I thought this way, now I think this way. Right. And if you want to be successful scaling your business, and more specifically your brand, into a powerhouse, you've got to have metanoia. You have got to understand and think like franchise, not like the underlying business. That's what your franchisees do every day. Make cookies, or clean carpet, whatever. And there are hierarchies, right? The regional developer model is between the two, right? Here's the franchisor. Yeah. You have a regional developer. They're like a mini franchisor because they take a territory. They open up a flagship location, which is also the training unit in that market. And then they start identifying and qualifying franchisees to join your system in their area. And there's a revenue share. So while you're sleeping, they're out gathering and finding and qualifying franchisees. And then once you sign them, they're helping them get open and supporting them, which is providing local support. This is a very powerful model that, again, I created in 2001 approximately. I've used successfully with a number of companies. I'm using it right now with 2 very rapidly growing systems. One, we just opened our flagship location. We've already sold 10 regional developers the rights to open 140 locations.
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
That's awesome.
We've literally brought in $1 million in fees and we have 1 location open.
Yeah.
It's a powerful model, but you can't be thinking about the underlying business. You have to be thinking about franchising. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs need to go to my Georgetown program or, other, educational opportunities in franchising, which unfortunately there aren't a lot of them. If you don't know what the key pillars are that underpin the franchise model, if you don't know what the principles of franchising are, how are you going to be successful using the model? Most people, at least entrepreneurs that I've interacted with, they say, okay, I've got this great business. I want to franchise it. They call an attorney and say, hey, I know I got to have an FTD, right? This franchise. But you know what? I've never met an attorney who's operated a business or looked a customer in the eye. So not the best guide, right? They are valuable and serve a purpose because franchising is regulated by the FTC. So you have to have documents done a certain way. But understanding the franchise model and then architecting your strategy is the optimal way to franchise your business. How you do that can be challenging. Again, if you want to learn how, you can just Google Georgetown franchise. My program will be the first thing that pops up. And it's a professional certificate program. And we literally have 2 courses from A to Z. The first course is 30,000 foot level. What is franchising? Where did it come from? How does it work? The second course is managing a franchise network. And so
I love it.
However you get that knowledge, it's important to get it.
Yeah, no. And no doubt. I mean, I think it's really cool that Georgetown University has kind of seen the opportunity you see. And I'm assuming you probably were the reason that they have this program. Is that a safe assumption? Did you come to them and say, hey, how did you end up becoming the guy who's educating others at Georgetown University around franchising? Like, how did that happen?
Similar to how I got into franchising, right? You can't plan these things. You can't script it out and say, okay, here's what's going to happen. I was at a dinner party and I was with a group of nonprofit executives and they had their spouses with them as I did. And we're having a dinner because I was doing some consulting. And one of the executives' husband was there. And we're sitting next to each other. And she says to him, hey, as it turns out, he's the head of, continuing education at Georgetown University. And she's like, you were asking me you need more, education programming to put into Georgetown. You should talk to Ben. He's like a franchise expert. And he's like, do you think anybody would be interested in a franchise program? I was like, at Georgetown University, they would be. It's a big hole in the marketplace. And he's like, great, let's meet and talk. And I basically built the curriculum and taught it ever since. So yeah, it kind of. How many
students have gone through your classes since then, do you think? If you had the back of the envelope, hundreds, thousands,
well over 1,000 for sure. Yeah. Over 1,000.
That's awesome.
From over 30 countries now, because we attract a lot of
That's pretty cool.
International. Yeah. So the founder and CEO of Remax, the founder and the CEO of Remax were in my last class. Like, you're thinking to yourself, why would the founder of Remax be going back to
a guy who's already figured it out, right? Yeah.
But all the franchising he did was years ago, right? And it took off and grew. He wanted to learn what's going on now in franchising. It was fascinating having him in the class.
I'll bet it was. I'll bet that's actually really cool.
Cross section of people. So,
you know what? You're gonna have to put a good word in for me. I'd love to have Dave on the show as well. I think it'd be really cool to one of the original, not the original franchise in real estate, but Remax is probably one of the most well-known from back in when did they start franchising? Was it 70s, 80s?
1973. Yeah.
73. Wow. Man, that's super cool.
They're doing their 50th anniversary in Las Vegas in January. It's amazing.
Are they really? Man, that's incredible. Talk about longevity. Yeah. What a great story. What a great story. Yeah. So, we've kind of talked a little bit about like some of the reasons that franchising is awesome and some of it's not. And we both have different backgrounds of franchising, but we've been part of franchise systems. I've never served as a franchisee. I always tell people I'd probably be terrible at that because I color outside of the lines all the time. I'd prefer to draw the lines. But I think that one of the things that you hit on that I also love is how much leverage is built into this business model for the entrepreneur, for the creator, for the management team, whoever's built the prototype business, and being able to do really cool things, make a huge impact with a smaller team relative to if you were to go open these units yourself, right? Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that I think it's very attractive to people. They're like, oh my gosh, like there are some economies of scale. I could scale my business way better than I could if I needed to go raise capital or invest my own capital to open every Kevin's Cookies place in Kansas City. Yeah. But then we've also talked about some of the pitfalls. We've talked about identity change or transformation or evolution, people that maybe don't want to be in an industry that is highly regulated. I mean, there's a lot of there's recurring legal work. It's not just one and done. Like it's an annual process. You've got audits. You've got to update your franchise disclosure document. Yeah. So there's a lot of pros and cons. But aside from those, I think the thing that you mentioned that some people may not know until they're there is that kind of family aspect. Like that is why I love franchising. Some of my best friends, I was just in Dallas actually last week. And anytime I'm on the road, I always be like, who are the cool people that I know? Well, I have a national network because I was chief marketing officer of a national company. And I went to dinner with one of my old franchisees and we've known each other since 2008, I think. Yeah. And we just picked up like nothing had, like no time had passed because we'd been in the trenches together. We'd done cool stuff. We'd come to know, like, and trust each other, met each other's families. Like to me, for somebody who's thinking about franchising, or even if they're early in their journey, they're emerging franchisor, they've got a couple dots on the map, really starting to gain momentum. To me, that is probably the most, and it's not money. It's all about relationships. Like that's what's cool about it. It's one of those things that relationships are forged. They're generally deeper than you have when you're like a coworker with somebody, because you both have skin in the game and you're both like marching in the same direction. I think that's, to me, honestly, that's in addition to like business model stuff, cool. But from a filling my emotional bucket, that's the number one thing for me. The family atmosphere that you get to create, the culture that gets to come to life. You don't really create culture. What's your favorite thing about franchising? Is it more the economic thing? Is it touchy feely stuff that gets me? You can see me like light up, right? Like I really love that part of the business model. What's your favorite absolute part of the franchise business model?
I guess it would be that it is versatile enough to meet a lot of different needs. Yours, you want to build this familial, collegial, whatever kind of environment that you can thrive in. And you can do that. It happens every day. I know lots of people who have franchised their business and they got to a comfortable size and then they tapped out basically, there's a personnel services, company that husband and wife started it. They're in the business of temporary agency, you might call it, right? Mm-hmm. They grew it to, I think, 35 or 40 franchisees. I mean, they all know each other. They vacation together. And they're like, you know what? We don't want to be Snelling and Snelling. We don't want to be this massive, huge. We're very happy in our niche doing what we do and very profitable, very successful. very familial, collegial. It can be that if that's what you want. But the model can also be Remax in 130 countries and 100,000 agents, right? It can scale beyond imagination as well. They're not mutually exclusive. It's the same model, right? Both companies are using the same model. And it can be a lot of things in between as well. A lot of times franchise systems really drive an underlying supply chain, right? I know of a company that makes a certain product, and they built a franchise network because they want to distribute that product with people on the street presenting it. You think about, most people don't even know, like Michelin tire dealers are franchises. Every one of them is a franchisee. People call them dealers or whatever, distributors, but they are actually franchisees. Exactly.
My mind just blew. My mind just exploded. Is Firestone the same? Is Firestone and Goodyear the same way? Are they?
Firestone and Goodyear are dealerships. And so, but Michelin is a franchise.
It's franchise. I had no idea.
And there's some nuances there and some distinctions, primarily around level of control that you look at relative to the government standards and whatnot. But what I like about the model is and this is what the first thing you'll hear when you go to Georgetown. There's no one size fits all in franchising. Pick any topic in franchising. There's no one size fits all. There's no absolutes, right? When you look at Subway, which I was a consultant for Fred DeLuca for many years, the founder, and you look at Chick-fil-A, they both use the franchise model, but they are vastly different, right? Yes. Chick-fil-A, you could argue that you're a franchise to be a general manager, because in that model, you don't own the land, you don't own the building, right? And you can't have more than one. So you're literally a franchisee to be the manager of that location, which is a great thing because that appeals to a lot of people and they have a waiting list, right? On the other side, Subway, you could own one, you could own 100, you could own 1,000. It doesn't matter. It's a very complex but versatile model. And there aren't many businesses that couldn't be franchised. Doesn't mean they should be.
Right.
But they could be. And if you watch what's happening in franchising, it's going into so many new areas that are so fantastic. We never saw franchising in the medical field. Today, we've got mental health clinic franchises. We've got physical therapy franchises. We've got urgent care franchise, right? It's all over medical now, right? Yeah. And why is that? Because ownership at the local level creates a better outcome than management, right? When I hire a manager to run my urgent care, they can just quit today and take another job and like, hey, so what? But when I got a franchisee, that's their life. That's their business, right? And so it's a different incentive package, if you will. And I don't have to be, stay up at night wondering whether Kevin got up and opened up the store today. If it's a general manager, I do have to worry about that. If it's a franchisee, I don't. I know they'll get up and open the store because it's their store.
100%. We've actually seen this play out in our franchise system. So me and a partner acquired a company called the Smoothie Shop and Supplements. And probably the coolest part of my year and one of my career highlights overall was being able to, we had taken custodianship of one of our stores. We remodeled it during the pandemic. And then we made our 25-year-old manager the owner of it I think it was August 1st of this year. Yeah, it was super cool. But you should see the year over year trends on some of the things that we were we'd push them to offer supplements to more people, power ups in our smoothies. If you look at how many of those were sold last year versus how many are sold once he's been in control of the business, it is hilarious. And we joke about it every Friday when we meet with him. But ownership causes, like you said, I mean, it's an extreme example of between an employee and an owner and how much they're going to invest in that biz. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. So if people want to learn more about how to connect with you, we're gonna drop some things in the show notes, your social media handles and things like that. But where's the best place online that they should go if they want to get plugged into Dr. Ben's ecosystem, learn more about him, or connect with you?
Well, I mean, you can Google my name and you'll get a ton of stuff that, make my
assuming
mom
we
proud.
can spell it, right? Like Google the spelling.
It's just like Italian with an L. Italian with an L. But
Is
it's
it
French
really?
Canadian.
It is.
Yeah, so it's L'Ien, right? Which is the French way to spell Italian. So it's French Canadian, the Italian. But anyway, if you go franchisewell.com, my website, it's got all kinds of information about clients and engagements and bios and all that stuff. Ben at franchisewell.com. I answer all of my own email every day. I get 100 plus emails a day, but I manage through it, and I love hearing from people who have a concept. Honestly, there hasn't been a week in my life that's gone by that somebody hasn't reached out to me about, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a concept. I'm thinking about franchising. It's just part and parcel. And I have a lot of conversations. I had one this morning with somebody who had reached out, and, it was a great conversation, and talking with them about that. Like, are they ready? Is this the right step? What the biggest misconception of most entrepreneurs I talk to is, how much is it going to cost me to franchise my business? And when I tell them $150,000 to $250,000, they just about choke. They're like, wow, why would it cost that much, right? The legal, right?
Yep.
And you got to ask yourself this question. What does the 100th franchisee, what does the first franchisee need that the 100th franchisee doesn't need, right? So your very first franchisee needs a completely mature turnkey system. You can't just start out with half of a manual, half of a training system, half of a marketing plan, right? You've got to say the very first franchisee deserves 100% of the value proposition. And you've got to build that. A learning management system, a manual. I mean, everything before you look at first. So it's an inverse economic model. You invest $250,000, whatever it is, and then you get that back over time through franchise fees and royalties till you hit a natural break point, right? Mm-hmm. And so in that calculation, you want that to happen within 30 months or less. It's a very powerful thing when you grasp, this is my initial investment to franchise my business. I sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many do I sell before I hit that natural break point? If you can't make that happen in 30 months, you're not going to survive franchising. Yeah. If you can do it in 30 months or less, you got a really good shot at growing something very successful.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Ben, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to visit with us. I personally, every time we visit, I always get pearls of wisdom, but I know that our audience will as well. Just a quick reminder, we would love for you to subscribe to our show. Smash that subscribe button down below on whatever your podcast platform is. And thank you, and have an amazing, amazing day.